All right. At this point, I'm assuming if you're watching this, you have a pretty good understanding of what segment customer data platform is all about, how it works. You have a foundational understanding of sources, destinations, what segment has to offer, what's out of the box, and a lot of the capabilities that would be there. What I want to talk about right now is the customizable features that Segment enables so that in scenarios where you do not have the out of the box offering or options that Segment has already built, you have a pathway to actually go solve for that with your own team, with your own engineers through things like custom functions. And so, what I wanted to talk a little bit about is actually how to do that. So, I'm going to pull up the catalog here in Segment and there's basically three sections. There's sources, there's destinations, and there's functions. And here you can explore the out of the box integrations for both of those. And then finally, if we click on functions here, you actually have the ability to create a new function. So I'm going to just go click into this. And this is where you can actually build your custom source function or your custom destination function. A source function would be a webhook where you want to send data to this endpoint. You want the endpoint to handle that data in a very specific way. And then you want that data to be ingested by Segment to further enrich the customer. So let's go ahead and click on this. I'm going to go ahead and click on build function. And Segment is actually nice enough to provide some templates here. And you can see essentially how this is working. So right here, let me scan down a little bit. So you have this on request function, and this is essentially the endpoint that's going to enable you to hit this and enable Segment to handle the request. And then you can see outlines for how you could possibly write a track event. Here, they just have some filler data with some test events, some user ID, and some test properties. You also have other capabilities such as identify calls, group calls, page calls, so on and so forth. All of the same features and functionality that Segment offers out of the box, you can now do it here customizable. And on the right hand side, this would be the actual endpoint. This is effectively the webhook that you would be hitting for your custom source. You can then stand this up and where you have an ability to send data into Segment via webhook, this is the endpoint that you would use. And then within this UI, you're actually able to test these functions. You can actually leverage some additional templates for some out of the box things. So they have some examples here for Pipedrive, which is a CRM. They have PayPal, SurveyMonkey. Anything that's going on in those platforms, you could integrate this webhook. You could then configure or rewrite the code to handle that response in the way that you want to handle it. And then you can actually deploy this and have it live in a matter of minutes, hours, or days. This is not a long sort of build out or implementation. So, again, for that reason, incredibly powerful. I'll actually show a good example. We're going to look at Mailgun. We're going to go ahead and edit this function. Mailgun, unfortunately, is not out of the box integrated into Segment. And as a result, if you want to collect data and aggregate this for your customers in Segment for email interactions that are happening on the Mailgun platform, this would be one way that you would be able to do it. And you can see this is only at most 35 lines of code. And a good chunk of these is actually comments. So it is not a lot of code. It is not very difficult. We're leveraging the out of the box template that they give us. You can then define your own mappings. You can see this is just making an identify call. It's creating a track call. It's calling that event email clicked and it's passing in some metadata that would be coming from Mailgun. It is literally that simple. You then go ahead and grab the webhook endpoint that is provided here. And then you would actually configure this on the Mailgun side to tell Mailgun where to send this data and then Segment would be able to handle that data. So again, I just wanted to illustrate the power of these custom functions that Segment would be offering to really tailor the solution and the implementation for your particular use case and enable you to basically solve almost any use case that you could think of outside of maybe integrating with a mainframe. So with the level of APIs available, the documentation available, almost any of these integrations is solvable if you have the right team, the right planning, the right documentation, the right skill sets in place. You can really build the true full picture of your customer journey.